Breaking news, a 90-day pause on tariffs announced. The only exception, China, and its tariff is going up.
Kansas City coffee roasters were caught bracing for the tariffs when that pause was announced. The uncertainty they're feeling right now.
Plus, the stock market shoots up within minutes. The green numbers now covering Wall Street.
This is breaking news from KMBC 9.
President Donald Trump is pausing his tariff plans for 90 days for every single country except China. I'm Laura Moritz.
And I am Bria Berry in for Kelly. Our KMBC 9 news team is making sense of this policy change. KMBC 9's Darissa White is following the impact to local coffee roasters. Let's begin with Chris Kretz with what it means for your money on the stock market.
The president's announcement came around 12:30 this afternoon, and within minutes, the market started climbing out of the red. At the closing bell, the Dow was up 2,900 points, the Nasdaq up 1,800. The S&P 500 jumping 470 points. Now, all of this coming 1 week after the president's Liberation Day comment when news broke of his tariff plan. Again, China will still face steep tariffs, with the president increasing that to 125%.
Last year, China made $1 trillion off trade with the United States. That's not right. And now I've reversed it.
China plans to slap an 84% tariff on U.S. imports. For now, Bria.
Chris, thanks. Right now, there is still a blanket tariff on 10% on all goods coming into the U.S. Well, we are feeling the impacts locally. Those tariffs will impact coffee prices nationwide and here at home.
KMBC 9's Darissa White is live at Rochester's Brewery in the Crossroads with the hard time businesses are having. Darissa.
Right. I'm in front of Rochester Brewing right now, and managing partner David Bullock says that because of the tariffs, he is worried about the future of his business. But it's not just here. It is all over the metro. Last week, the administration implemented tariffs ranging from 10% to 46% on all coffee imports from major producers like Vietnam, Colombia, and Brazil. This move had coffee shops around the metro concerned about the increased costs and price hikes for customers. Now, with the announcement of the 90-day pause on all tariffs besides China, the inconsistencies feel unstable for small businesses like Parisi Coffee.
What's made it difficult for everyone, for us, for the consumers, for importers and exporters, is that it's all happened so fast. If this had happened gradually over time, it would be a lot easier for all of us to accept, but it just happened really, really fast.
Now, Parisi Coffee says they will probably have to raise prices if these tariffs do go into effect. Reporting live in the Crossroads, Darissa White, KMBC 9 News.
All right, thank you, Darissa. Coming up at 6 p.m., we'll hear from another small business who says they're trying to keep up with all the recent changes and still grow their business.
And as Chris touched on earlier today, several Americans have been watching Wall Street as it swings back and forth between those big leaps and major losses.
30 companies make up the Dow Jones. Big losses there signify investors are anxious about what the future holds.
The longer this lasts, the more of an economic drag it is, with uncertainty both by the consumer, investor, and certainly people that run companies. And the longer that lasts, the more real economic damage we're doing.
Experts recommend focusing on what's ahead, not dwelling on what you've lost. So find what stocks could do well in the coming days.
And coming up at 4:30, we will have an interview live with an economics professor. Tim Hamilton is answering our questions about what tariffs mean for you and what could lie ahead.
Your station leading the way with breaking news, getting you the facts when it's happening right now. KMBC 9 News.
And that breaking news from the White House, President Trump is postponing tariffs. In 30 seconds, the ones that are still in place right now.
Kansas City importers scramble to adjust. In 1 minute, the impact of this back and forth on them.
Plus, an economics professor addresses your concerns. In 2 minutes, the things you can do right now to prepare.
First breaking news in Kansas. An Osawatomie woman is in police custody after officers found her 2-year-old daughter ingested methamphetamine. Officers got the call just before midnight last night. They were told the toddler was having a seizure. 34-year-old J.C. Hayes is facing 4 charges, including child endangerment. And now to breaking news in D.C. President Donald Trump is now pushing his tariff plan for 90 days. So here's what's in effect right now.
A blanket 10% tariff on every country and a 125% tariff on China. The president says he upped that tariff because of retaliation.
Somebody had to do what we did, and I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, because I told them if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's going to work out amazing.
And the president made this announcement after days of steep losses on the stock market. And this announcement comes 1 week after Liberation Day, when tariff plans were shared. Well, we are getting reaction to the pause on most tariffs around the world.
Investigative reporter Matt Fleener is live at Midwest International Logistics in North Kansas City talking to importers. Matt?
Yeah, Laura and Bria, these big trucks bring in products from all over the world. They actually run daily trips back and forth to Chicago from Kansas City. Now, inside the warehouse here at Midwest International, they have different products from all over the world. They can actually hold items in the warehouse for up to 5 years without charging duties or tariffs. So they're hoping the warehouse actually fills up even more in the next 90 days during this pause.
As a business owner, those are discussions that we have every day. What does next week look like? What does next month look like? So we have to prepare ourselves, be nimble, make quick decisions that are going to make us relevant.
Yeah, so again, these trucks still running even with all of this talk of tariffs. They did take some steps last year here with this business to insulate their business from the impact of the proposed tariffs at the time. Now some of those have come to fruition. This big pause, certainly another chapter in this whole story for tariffs here in the United States and across the world. In North Kansas City, Matt Fleener, KMBC 9 News.
All right, Matt, thank you. The stock market saw a big jump when the tariffs were rolled back. The Dow rising 2,900 points, NASDAQ 1,800, and the S&P 500 roughly 470 points. And Professor Tim Hamilton joins us now as we work to make sense of what's happening throughout our economy. He is an economics reporter at the Johnson County Community College.
And you tell us more about this, Professor Hamilton. We know with this timeline being pushed back, what can we do right now to prepare?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of anxiety. People just feel very out of control, and that was part of why we saw a lot of panic buying that recently happened, and that might be part of why the White House rolled some of these tariffs back. When the tariffs roll out, people freaked out, and we saw Costco that was just jammed to the brim. We got to understand what's the timeline that's going to happen when a tariff happens. So first of all, there's sort of an immediate effect in this case was that panic buying, but then before that final product actually hits the shelf, it's going to take a little bit of time. So final products, it's usually about 6 weeks, 1 to 2 months until that product shows up. Those final products would be like olive oil from Spain, maple syrup from Canada, something that is a final product, your appliances, your refrigerator. A delayed response is probably 6 months to a year for those products that are made in the United States, but the intermediate goods are tariffed. So, for example, the F-150 pickup truck that is made here, the electronics on that will come from China. The steel might come from Canada. So it's going to take some time for that to actually get into the actual product. So that's a little more delayed response. So what consumers ought to probably look at is, in their pocketbook and their time frame, what are they buying that is imported? Keeping in mind that we probably should take a pause, take a deep breath, because not everything we buy is going to go up in price. If Bucky mows your yard, the tariffs aren't going to cause him to charge you more for mowing your yard. Your chiropractors aren't going to charge you more for an adjustment. Right. If you go to the hair salon and get a haircut, something I personally cannot relate to, that's not going to go up. So there's a lot of things we buy, a lot of services that aren't going to go up. Similarly, U.S. products are not going to go up. Blueberries from Michigan aren't tariffed. Tomatoes from Arkansas, bread. So a lot of things are not going to be tariffed.
Okay, that's good to know.
Sense, yeah. A lot of people are concerned that we're going to see a repeat of 2008 and people losing homes, the recession that we saw then. Do you see signs that we're headed in that direction?
There are some eerie similarities to 2008. In 2008, we had a big asset bubble. Housing was very overpriced, and then when the bubble popped, everybody saw the value of their houses drop like a rock, and people responded to that by holding on to what money they had, so consumption dropped, and then businesses couldn't sell the inventory they had, so we started seeing massive layoffs. The unemployment rate back in 2008 was 4.7% when this asset bubble dropped. This time our unemployment rate is 4.2%, so that's somewhat similar. Both inflation rates, both in 2008 and now, 2.3%. So again, another similarity there. But the similarity sort of ends because that was a natural economic phenomenon that took place back in 2008. This is very much self-imposed. And as we saw today with the relaxing of the tariffs, it can very easily be relieved. Also, consumers reacted to this drop in the stock market, which is a big drop in assets, by going out and buying, which is just the opposite of what they did in 2008. So it's really too early to see if what happened in 2008 is going to happen here. There are a lot of little signs of layoffs around the United States, and that is indicative that there might be a recession that is coming. The stock market dropping as it did was certainly a sign of that. So you ought to prepare as if a recession is coming, because if we look at the business cycle, we're kind of due for one. That being said, economists predicted it 2 years ago and it didn't happen.
True.
All vital information.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Professor Hamilton.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
KMBC 9 will continue to track the impacts of what's going on with the president talking about tariffs and what happens. So just turn on your alerts in our KMBC 9 app to stay ahead of any developments. And our team coverage continues on KMBC 9 News at 5. KMBC 9's Kaylin Norwood is live at the White House on this reverse in action. And KMBC 9's Darissa White is live in the Crossroads looking at the impact to coffee roasters. And KMBC 9's Matt Fleener will return. That is all on KMBC 9 News at 5.